on the call. She'll be in the chat box. So if you've got questions as we go through this session today, Jordan will be in the chat answering them if I don't answer them live. So fire questions in. You've got a person on the call with some really, really smart, good knowledge that will hopefully be very, very valuable. So make the most of it. Take advantage while we're here. What you might also get to experience as we go through this call is Jordan has more energy at times and more enthusiasm than any normal human should have, even caffeinated. I sometimes have problems just keeping it with Jordan's energy level just on a regular call. So on a webinar, goodness knows what could happen.
Uh-oh.
What are you drinking, Jordan?
Another energy drink, just because I felt like being even more excited about this because it's that exciting. We should be pumped. So I will be calm.
So there we go. So that said, we're going to talk Facebook retargeting. We are recording this. Now I've remembered to turn the record on because it wasn't on automatically. We will put a replay out. There's nothing particularly being, there's no buy button at the end of this session or anything like that. There's some education, some stuff that we're doing that I want everybody to know about. I hope you'll get a ton of value out of it. So with that said, to avoid distractions, I'm going to turn my camera off just so you can focus on the content. I'm still here. It's still my voice for real talking. So I'll turn it back on in a bit. But for now, I'm going to hit some slides and talk you through it. If you've got questions, fire them in as we go through. But I want to really focus on some things that we've been working on that I'm really pleased to talk about today. So here we go. Facebook retargeting. I'm assuming before we start, quick, give me a yes in the chat box. I assume everybody here knows what Facebook retargeting is. If you're familiar with the concept, put me a yes. Good. I can't imagine anybody here wouldn't know what it's all about. So here we go. So agenda for today. I want to first of all give everybody a bigger picture of what's going on at InvisiblePPC. And you'll see why as we go through this. And then want to dive more into Facebook retargeting. Talk about who it's good for, who it's not good for. Talk about results that we're seeing already and why this is becoming important. And also tell you how to position yourself and sell to get maximum returns for your clients. Because it's all very well knowing this stuff, but the sales message is really important. And then at the end, we're publicly launching, as you can probably imagine, a Facebook retargeting service as part of our white label offering. We've done it privately for quite some time now. So for anybody who's worked with us on Facebook retargeting, it's been something we've been doing. This isn't new to InvisiblePPC. It's new to being publicly available in a nice box with a bow wrapped around the top, made easy to buy, and we've not done that previously. So for now, today is us saying, hey guys, this is now publicly here for you. So with that said, let's just talk a bit about the background to this today. InvisiblePPC is known for one thing. That's Google Ads. Garish's left-hand side of the slides are cut off. I'm going to try shrinking my slide deck a bit, see if that makes it better. Gary, let me know if that makes it better for you. It might be a resolution thing. And the problem with being really good at Google Ads is that, as the saying goes, if all you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And even if it's a really good hammer, everything isn't a nail. And we recognize that. We understand the fact that not everything is a nail and not every problem is solved by Google Ads. And increasingly, we'll talk about the why, we need as a business to support our agencies and their clients, your clients, to the extent you need, we need to do things differently. And that means we've got to raise our game, we've got to step up, and we've got to do more to help you. And so as a result of that, this year, we've spent the year focusing on growing. But when I say growing, I'm not talking about sales. We're not talking about being a bigger invisible PPC. Actually, We'll probably be a slightly smaller Invisible PPC by the end of the year than we were at the start. But we will be a very much more mature organization internally, with better processes, with better tools, and I'll talk about that in a moment, and better people. And when I say better people, what I mean by that is better trained people, better experienced people. We're not fired a bunch of people. We're just making them into the best versions of themselves they can possibly be. And we've added to the team. And a great example, when we hired Jordan, and Jordan knows this, Jordan wasn't our first pick as Facebook because we didn't know she was there. We hired and fired or parted ways with 3 people prior to Jordan because we didn't feel that they were a good fit to get the best outcomes for our clients and our agency partners. And we really wanted to get it absolutely right. It was really important to us. We did the best job we possibly could. And at the 11th hour, and I've got to be honest, we were getting so frustrated. It's amazing how full the world is of Facebook experts who really aren't. And no matter how much we tested, interviewed, did case studies, did trials, it still somehow failed. And we thought, wow, we've got this really robust process here. We're doing lots of effort, and yet we're not getting the outcome that we want. And that just as we were losing our minds with this whole process, thank goodness through our door walked Jordan, and she's been able to breathe life into what was becoming a very frustrating process. And us, our partners and their clients are reaping the benefits from that now, and that's what I'm hoping to bring to you today. So it's a really strange thing. And if anybody's been through this as an entrepreneur, you'll know how painful this is. I've actually not tried that hard to sell things this year. I focused on getting the business better for everybody it interacts with. And there's a lot of things coming that we'll reveal soon. But as an entrepreneur who wants to build and launch and go, that's a really hard place to be. And if anybody else goes through that process, trust me, I feel your pain and frustration because it's been challenging for me to say the least. And we're doing it for a good place. We're doing it because we want to deliver better agency relationships. We want to step up our game, deliver a wider range of services because they are needed. And because we want to get better outcomes for our clients. It's all about that at the end of the day. If we don't do those 3 things, then somebody else will, and they'll do that. And then we don't have a business, and we want it to be the right business for our partners for the long term. And to put it into context, we've spent so far this year on this stuff in terms of tools, processes, and software, which I'll talk about, over $250,000. So that's where it's going. And we'll talk about that soon. But today really is the first peek behind the curtain as to what's actually coming. And this is really what we're here to talk about, which is Facebook retargeting. And the context and the reason I wanted to give you that background information first is what you're seeing today is kind of the tip of the iceberg. It's the first thing that we're doing. That's the first sign of publicly of the change, but it's a really important one. And so let's, with that said, dive into talking about Facebook retargeting. And why start here? And it's a really good thing to think about. Why actually start with Facebook retargeting? Well, for anybody already running Google Ads, it's a great fit. It just fits so well with it. We now live in this mobile first world. That's no surprise. Everybody on this call knows that already. In most markets, mobile traffic is at least 60%, in many cases more than that. And as a result of that, attention spans are short. Users, behave, like a toddler with Smarties and Sweeties. They get very, very distracted. And as a result of that, we're seeing some very direct impacts on Facebook and in terms of retargeting needs. Just looking at this chart here, really, really interesting, a word stream put together, which is the single biggest thing. So if you're looking at branded search here, looking at 100% with Google search, the thing that makes the biggest difference to branding search is Facebook retargeting. Because when people do a search, they see a retargeting ad, on Facebook, they then come back with a branded search looking for your business, having seen it on Facebook. That makes the Google search more valuable. It actually generates new search traffic in some cases. It generates volume that isn't otherwise there sometimes. So it's a really good fit for us who primarily delivering inbound leads, inbound website traffic with Google ads and with Bing ads. It makes sense that we find the ways beyond the Google network to bring that traffic back, given that we live in this highly active mobile world where the first point of interaction frequently isn't enough. And so that's why we're starting publicly rolling out with Facebook retargeting first, because most visitors won't convert on the first visit. We can reach them already in the Google display network generally, but it's only one way of reaching them. Many markets that we work in, for example, lots of the medical markets, lots of legal markets, we can't use Google retargeting. We want to, but we can't. So our first hit at that person, at that visitor, at converting them in those markets with Google display alone, Google search alone is our only option to hit them there. If they go off that site, if they bounce the first time without Facebook, they're gone forever. So Facebook gives us that other alternative. It gives it, and it isn't an exactly equal alternative either. If you think about this, Google display retargeting is purely banner ads. And that's all it is. And they're great, and we like them, and we use them every day. Facebook retargeting allows us to use images, but it also allows us to use text. It also allows us to use video. It allows us to do things in different ways that will reach and engage different people. So it's an obvious place for us to go, and it just works. And so that's why we've started here. But there's also a bit of a hidden one to this. It's a bit of a gateway drug. And this picture here, I was really hoping when we were putting the design for these slides together, there would be something a little more edgy than this, but the person putting together decided that a gate was the safest way to go. So, hey, you've got a picture of something in a field as opposed to something the Canadians have just legalized, but hey, it is what it is. And the reason I say it's a gateway drug is because once you start putting a Facebook retargeting pixel on a client's website, you start building up traffic. You start training that pixel with users who are already aware, because they're high intent users who've come through search, that are likely to click through retargeting links to a reasonably high rate relative to normal cold traffic, and that provide good quality user profiles for the Facebook pixel to be able to use for future lookalikes. So if you think about this, what we're actually doing is two things. Thing number one is we're maximizing the ROI on the inbound traffic that we've already generated through Google ads or Bing ads or SEO or anything else that you're actually doing for a client. We're maximizing the ROI on that by getting visitors back to the client website. But at the same time we're doing that, we're planting the seed and we're doing the hard yards of building up profiles so that should we choose to turn on Facebook ads for lead generation in the future, we've already got a pixel that's got data to start from. It isn't starting from zero. So we're winning today, but we're planning for tomorrow. And that's a really good combination. So when I say we're planting, where it's a gateway, that's entirely intentional because Facebook has great quality traffic. It has, the biggest audience out there. So why not plan for the future? Stoney just asked if we're going to receive a replay. Yeah, replays will be out, so don't worry about that. We'll get replays out over the next couple of days. I want to give you some examples just to try and give some context for this, because since we've been testing this out this year, now don't claim, I know for most people on this call, we're not the first people to do Facebook retargeting. We know that. We don't pretend to be. This isn't a big reveal. But I want to show the results that we're getting for our agency partners and their clients so that you've got context and you've got understanding of it. If you've not tried it personally, you've got some data to work from. So let's start here. This example number one. This is a pain treatment. We started the campaign in July of this year, so it's only been running a few months. They're driving traffic also from Google and Facebook, and that's really important. There is no point doing retargeting if you haven't got traffic, because there's nobody to retarget and your audience will never be big enough for your ads to be shown. So we're starting with 2K spend on Google and Facebook in total on inbound traffic. And they're looking, and of that, we've got $150 budget for retargeting. This is not big money, $150 budget in this particular instance. And they count a lead as a quiz lead. It's one of these long form, click buttons, and it takes you through page 1, page 2, page 3. It feels like a quiz. It's actually a lead capture form. And we can see here, in the month of September, another 15 leads into this funnel from $120 of ad spend. That's $8 per additional lead, which is crazy. $8 a lead for pain treatments, which will run into a couple of $1,000s a time, is a great ROI. And it's such a small incremental spend that would have been lost otherwise. And these don't include phone calls, by the way. We're also capturing phone calls for this client. We don't include them because Facebook doesn't put them in a nice screenshot for us. So we've not included them in the stats. So you can see and by the way, this is something we can't do on Google. We cannot retarget this because it's a pain treatment on Google display. So Facebook's our only option. Second one. This is a cosmetic dentist, and they've got some really interesting things about their particular process, their procedure. It's an expensive procedure. And this campaign started in August 2018, so it's only been running 2 months now. We've only got a $1,350 front-end budget for traffic generation and $150 retargeting budget. Which you can see, we're in trouble. We overspent by $3 in the month. And conversions here are lead forms again. Again, they're also getting phone calls. And this is for a $10,000 procedure. Now, they've got an extra 5 leads plus phone calls, and I know most of their things actually come in by the phone. We just don't track them separately, unfortunately, so I can't give you a number on that. But we've got the client saying they're overwhelmed with the volume of leads that they're currently getting. Now, 5 might not sound like a lot in terms of 1 month here, but for $30 a lead, if one of those turns into a client, that's an extra $10,000 of revenue. And that's only in the second month of this campaign on a tiny little ad budget in an expensive market, which is why the numbers are smaller. It's not actually the retargeting that's the challenge. The challenge here is the front end budget is relatively small in an expensive market, so we haven't got much traffic to retarget. So that's why that is that way. But it just goes to show, even with a small client, you can get some good. And again, cosmetic dentistry is really hard to run on Google retargeting. Example number 3. This is a weird one. I didn't even know this was a thing until we started doing it, and apparently it is a thing. It's a pop-up events company. Started this campaign in July. This is an all-time number here, because the reason I've shown an all-time number since we started this one is because their spend is all over the place, depending how many events they've got going on and what they're up to. So any individual month would show highly skewed numbers. And again, you can see this has spent $2,000 in that whole time, but it's generated, and these are actual purchases. These are people buying tickets for the event, 172 ticket purchases out of that $2,000. And it's generated, most importantly, as this is e-commerce, a 6 times ROI on the ad spend, which is great. And you can see a little comment. Thankfully, we got a helpful text message from the agency partner on here, which was forwarded from their client saying they can't afford not to do this for their winter campaigns coming up. So a couple of very different kind of scenarios. And you can see they all work really well. They're all very, very different, but they work very well. And we've run some really bigger budget campaigns where the results are just crazy. So who can it work well for? Who is Facebook retargeting for? The answer is most people. I've put on here well, list. We've put a list of 20. I take zero credit for the list. Jordan takes 100% of the credit for the list. But think of it as a starting point. Pretty much most markets we can run. There are some issues. There are some areas you can't run ads, and we'll talk about those shortly. But they're much small. The list is much smaller than Google, which is really, really helpful to us. And we've seen outcomes in elder care, in some of these ones. We've seen a whole range of things working really, really well. So I think whatever markets you're currently working in, if you've got clients running inbound traffic and they're not currently at least doing Facebook retargeting, it's a bit of a no-brainer, to be quite honest. It's such a simple service to offer, and it just adds value. So, if you can look at that list, anybody got any niches they're interested in that are not on that list? Anyone want to ask a question? If you've got a niche that's not on the list, shout. Mike says, is elder care in the home? Elder care in this industry is mobility, is the one that I'm talking about. And it's UK, and it works great. Absolutely phenomenal. Brian said solar. Jordan says yes. Ruby says medical spa. Jordan, what do you say to medical spa?
Oh, definitely got to do medical spas, since we can say a lot more than we could say on Facebook, or excuse me, AdWords. Caring homes, retirement, roofing. Those are definitely things we can do. Temporary work agency, so that would be like job employment and things. So yeah, those are short-term employment. Yeah, insurance. We've definitely done some different things in insurance. It just depends on how niche you get. So long as you don't get too niche, we can find more targeting. So that is the one part is feel free to ask us questions on how to properly target these things once you bring them on. So that way we can help you even further.
Someone's asked about a winery.
Yes, please. People love seeing alcohol on Facebook. Okay. So yes, if you want to tell them come drink, people love to talk about it and tagging their friends. So that one's really good. Investment properties, I've definitely seen some things with that, or even alternative investing types. Medical and healthcare, I would want to know like what specific kinds, but you definitely can get away with retargeting for some of those a little bit easier. Definitely first the Google option where they say, nope, that's sensitive, you can't talk about it. We get to talk in a third person for some of those. Definitely have done accountants and CPAs, even done like CPA, like selling for other, like how to get more clients for your CPAs. Law firms are definitely in there. They are just a little bit more difficult for top of funnel, but retargeting is really nice since you can't usually do it anywhere else. And you got a list that no one's talking to. Pets, yes, please. Everyone wants to see dogs and cats.
Pet nutrition. I love that. Yeah.
Yes,
could you
those are like
Facebook without dogs and cats?
Oh, yeah. Please give me a dog.
That would only leave politics and religion left on Facebook if we took dogs and cats out of it and people falling over.
Yeah. Funeral homes is another one that you can try. Definitely with, depending on like your area, that might be really nice if you have a nice little small circle and you're like, hey, everyone knows this. Let's make sure they remember us when they need us. You definitely do hotels and motels. Definitely if you have a good offer, people really love to take up those things. Piano bars.
I think Tim's teasing me here because Tim's put piano bars here because he knows my love of piano bars.
Yes, so, anything entertainment-wise is awesome. People eat it up because we're literally looking for it all day and saying, someone give me something to do for this weekend. And when we say, hey, here's this, we go, oh my God, thank you for telling me. Vegan restaurants, there's tons of vegan targeting.
I go to a very good one in Amsterdam when I visit my daughter who has a vegan diet, and it's called a vegan junk food cafe. That place is exploding. They've gone from 1 location to 4 in a year. So vegan is definitely the business to be in.
John is a comedian here. Isn't the funeral business kind of dead? I'm not going to lie. I really like that.
Right, let's move on, guys. Thank you. I think the point to take away from that is there's not a lot that you can't retarget on Facebook. And we'll talk about some of those things that you really can't do in a little while. But pretty much most things are good to go. So let's think about selling this because, nothing happens till we make a sale. Nothing happens till we have a client. And if we're going to get a client, then we need to know how to make an offer to that client. And so this isn't that difficult. And I'd love to hear in the chat, if anybody's selling this to clients already, tell me in the chat, how are you currently positioning it? Are you bundling it? Is you selling it as a standalone, as an upsell, an afterthought? How are you positioning it currently? I'd love to hear from those of you out there already offering this to your clients, either fulfilling it in-house or doing something else with it. Simple thing. If you are already running any kind of inbound paid traffic, be it Google, be it Bing, or even Facebook cold traffic as well, which isn't purely inbound, but sort of is, then it makes sense to maximize the ROI on that spend by reconnecting with those people who didn't engage with you the first time round, which is the vast majority of most people that were there. We know that's the case. Very few places, we have some, but not often, do people get more than a 20% conversion rate from first-time traffic. Most cases, it's 10 or even lower than that. And in which case, that's 90% of your traffic disappearing cold. It makes sense perfectly to offer this as a low-cost upsell to reclaim that traffic. If you think about front-end costs for customer acquisition on Google Ads, they're usually more expensive than Facebook. But they tend to be really good quality. So if you get somebody from Google and then bring them back via Facebook, they don't lose that quality. That quality stays. One thing we often come across, and one of the differences between Facebook and Google Ads, and I'm generalizing, but it's what we see a lot often, is that Facebook leads from cold Facebook traffic tend to have a lower intent than Google Ads leads. They tend to have longer purchasing cycles, and they often purchase in lower quantities. If you speak to anybody who's running Facebook all day, or if that's you, you'll know that it can be a hard sell sometimes. Lead quality is a constant conversation. It's less of a conversation in Google Ads. I can't say that it isn't a conversation because I've yet to find the client who doesn't ever want better quality leads. Everybody wants better quality leads. But if we're capturing them from Google Ads on the front end and just bringing them back, they stay really good quality leads who convert well. And we know that the highest value prospect is a visitor we can attract back because we know they're engaged. We know they didn't take advantage in the first place, but they even may be a more educated purchaser by the second time they come back to your website from a retargeting ad. They may have been researching, looking at competitors, and they're coming back now because they're further down their consideration than they were before when they first visited your website. So you're potentially getting them at a better point in time for them to become a client than they were the first time they visited the website. Also, don't forget, it isn't just paid traffic that this maximizes the ROI. And if you're paying for SEO, or you're offering SEO as a service, then providing you're generating traffic, you can make all of that traffic more effective. It's not just about paid stuff. All of it gets retargeted. And it also gives you visibility on social media for very little effort. And my final point is that, you're reaching people that you might not be able to reach elsewhere. So with that in mind, when you're positioning this, my perception of it and my belief is it's kind of like going into a fight with one arm behind your back if you don't do it now. Two years ago, this was non-essential, absolutely non-essential. It was a really nice add-on. Increasingly, with mobile becoming, more and more distracted, people having shorter and shorter attention spans, it's becoming more and more essential. Single touch point is becoming less and less efficient. We see that, we recognize that, we're doing something about it. And when you're positioning that to a client, simple question, do you want to maximize your ROI and your spend? If so, let's allocate a portion to this because it will get you a better ROI overall. So I'm just going to dive back into questions now to see how other people are positioning this, see if anybody made any comments in this. Mike says, gives away a free display ad with Pixel and then upsells on a 10x strategy and retargeting. Love it. So give away a free display ad with the Facebook Pixel and then upsell on a retargeting strategy. Really nice. Larry says, can this retarget lookalike audience for converts? I think we're going to get into some technical stuff, Larry, on that one, so Jordan will cover that in a little bit. Yeah, there's some quite technical conversations going on in here, so I will skip those for now. We can capture those later. We're talking about lookalike audiences and things. Chris says, do SEO and PPC influence each other in any way? To my experience, very little. But we've never been involved with SEO, so I can't really speak to it, to be honest, Chris. It's not something we've really got engaged with. We've only ever focused on paid because it's more controllable and we understand it, which we don't understand SEO very well. So that said, if we think about how to sell it, would you like to get a higher ROI on your ad spend? It's not a complicated question to ask. Very few clients do not want to get the ideal return on their ad spend. So allocating some to Facebook retargeting just makes sense. By the way, for anybody who's wondering, I'm using the word retargeting today whenever I remember. In the Google, call it remarketing, but they're the only people who do. Everybody else, including Facebook, call it retargeting. If you hear those two words, they mean the same thing. So don't get confused. So we've built out a Facebook retargeting service. The aim of what we're trying to build out is to make it easy for you. We're trying to make it easy to sell. We're trying to make it relatively inexpensive so that it's an easy sell. It shouldn't be difficult. And we start them at $100 a campaign a month. Okay? $100 a month. And what I mean by a campaign, I just want to be quite clear on this. If somebody has 10 different services that they offer, they will all need different retargeting setups. So we charge for them separately because they're different setups, different thoughts, different creatives, and we have to do everything 10 times over. But most people, that's not the case. So if we've got one campaign, one intent is one campaign. And for most clients that are modest budget, who are single or like single service offering, it's absolutely fine. So we charge that at $100 per campaign per month. And that includes everything you basically need. If you want extra stuff, then there are things we can do. So for example, if you want a report writing on this and you haven't already got an a Google Ads report with notes in it, then there's a cost for that. So we've got to write the report. But in reality, most people don't need that for Facebook, particularly for retargeting. If it was a cold Facebook traffic campaign, maybe, but not for retargeting. If your client needs a Facebook page setting up, then we obviously charge a one-off fee for doing that. Same for landing pages. So there are other things involved there if you wish to take them. But for most people, you don't need that. You just need a basic campaign. So it's meant to be a simple thing to sell. I want to make it clear, though, we can't do this by ourselves. There are things that we can do, but there are things that you can do and your client need to do as well to make this work. And I want everybody to be aware of this, because if you're going to sell this to a client, you need to be able to set good expectations of what you need from the client to make this really work. And I'm going to go through this sort of left to right. So in terms of what we do all the conversion tracking implementation, unless it's a weird e-commerce thing, in which case we need to have a conversation about it, because some e-commerce platforms can be seriously tricky and something that we can't particularly get our hands around. We do all the monitoring, we do all the call tracking, we do all the optimizations, all the split testing, and all the reporting. We take care of all that ongoing running stuff. You need to set up your business manager account so you can run your client's ads. So that's a Facebook process to set up a business manager account. You only need to do it once, but when it's done, it's done. But then with your clients, need to get the client's ad account set up so that when you've got access to it, we can get access to it. We will need some assets to work with. Now, sugar, didn't mean to do that. Assets are always really, really important for any Facebook campaign. We know how visual Facebook is. Images, videos, they really matter. They really matter. And much as we can provide stock photography, and we will, if that's necessary, that's not a problem, that's something we can do, no issue. It isn't the best outcome. The best outcome is real photos, real videos from your client. And the best person to get that is you or your client. And it doesn't need to be complicated. We're not talking Steven Spielberg quality video here. We're talking iPhone video. We're talking candid shots in their office, in their practice, providing their service, whatever it might be. That any phone these days will take photos that are perfectly good quality, that can be easily obtained. And it's much better. You'll get a much better outcome if that comes from you than you relying on us for stock photography. Which, if we have to provide it, we will, but it's not in anybody's interest that we do. Client personas, useful to know. For retargeting, it's less important because we're targeting existing traffic, but it's always good to know. One thing super important, monitoring ad comments. We're not there to monitor ad comments every day, so you or your client need to be aware of that. If you get somebody spamming or trolling ads, somebody needs to be able to react to that. And it's a great thing for somebody in the office to do, because quite often in the office of the client, there'll be questions on there. The comments aren't necessarily all bad things. Comments can be, how do I book? What's the price? Can I order? Can I do this? Can I do that? Somebody in the business ought to be there answering those things, not just because we don't want to or you don't want to, but because they're the best people to help convert that person into a customer. And lead nurture systems. I can't stress enough, for any client campaign we ever run for any service, the importance of lead nurture systems such as texting, email, messengers, phone calls, voicemails, wherever it might be, carrier pigeon, doesn't matter. What matters is that unless it's a pure e-com play, clients have got great lead nurture systems set up in place. And anybody who's heard me speak before knows I've probably said this a dozen times over. Clients tend to do really, really poor jobs of following up with prospects. They're not very good at it. It's a great opportunity for agencies to step in there and be, the knight in shining armor and save them and help them get better. It's in your interest because they'll get better campaign outcomes, they'll stay longer, they'll be happier, they'll bother you less. So I would urge everybody, if you haven't got an offering to help clients with that, please get an offering to help clients with that, because it's so important. And finally, billing. The client obviously needs to put their credit card in. Mr. Zuckerberg doesn't do charity. It's not within the platform anyway. I'm sure he does it in other ways. Suggest the client does it, but it could be complicated. If you want to do it for your client and with your client, then that's up to you. So as you can see, the responsibility is on each of us. There's nothing too onerous on any agency or any partner here. It isn't too bad at all, but it's really important that these things are set up. The other responsibility, which isn't on the page, but I just want to draw everybody's attention to, time. When you first put a retargeting audience together, it will be empty. Retargeting ads don't start showing until there are people in the audience. So the ability for ads to show and have an impact increases over time. Obviously, until it peaks when it's got a rolling cycle of the maximum size of its audience from the traffic you're generating. Don't promise ever in your sales process or when talking about responsibilities and deliverables that it will change the world overnight, because it needs time to build the audience to start showing the ads. And the things like the examples I've shown are all really early on in a campaign cycle. I wanted to show them because they're like month 2, month 3, month 4. But it takes time to deliver a result. Make sure an expectation is set that, an audience increase only happens every time you drive a visitor to the website through whatever method. So that's how your audience gets bigger, and it will take as long as it takes to get there. The performance of retargeting will improve over time. So terms of cost, our cost to you is we charge an onboard fee. That's how we put everything together for you, and a monthly management fee. We've already mentioned that. Strong recommendation: charge your client at least $250 a month management fee. The guy we saw earlier with the dentist with a $10,000 treatment, who's got $150 ad budget and leads coming through for a $10,000 product, is not going to be concerned with a $250 management fee. It's a nice extra. You're going to be talking to these clients anyway, because you're probably already running other services for them. You're going to have to manage the client. Why not get more revenue from that client in a way that's going to add value to them? It's just such a simple thing to do. It's not going to be something you would build an entire business off. This isn't something that's going to change your life, but it allows you to get more revenue from the same client to make them happier, make them stay longer because they're getting better outcomes, and it's a relatively low cost, low effort sale on your part. As always, when we ever bring something out, and we rarely do, anybody who onboards a retargeting client with us by 15th of November, if we've already got a Google campaign or they bring a Google campaign with them, then the onboarding's half price. We want people to go out there and test this service, want them to enjoy it, we want people to get results from this service. And so consider that our incentive to you to go out there and do your bit and just take advantage of the knowledge and use it to go out and generate yourself revenue. Couple of things you need to know in terms of process. These are important. If you go to InvisiblePPC.com and go to the forms option on our website, you will see 2 new forms there. One of those forms is a Facebook retargeting onboarding, and one is a proposal. I recommend, if you have a query and you're not sure about whether or not something's going to work for a client, either use that form, request a proposal, and we'll break it all down to you, whether we think it'll be good or not, what it will be involved in terms of cost. So we'll break it all out for you there, or just hit our chat on our website and ask us questions. And we'll happily help you that. There's no cost to that. We do that because we want it to work for you, we want it to work well for you. Then, when you're ready, or if you already know the answer, if you already know this is a market you can work in, you know it's going to work, just use the onboarding form to simply onboard that client. It's not a complicated process. Hit the button, see the form, and away you go. It won't take you more than a few minutes to get that completed. That's how to bring clients. But I would urge you, if you've got questions, use our chat. Jordan and I, or somebody will make sure they get picked up. I'm just going to move very quickly to see if I can show you the URL without breaking the presentation. So here we go. Scroll down. Have they put it live yet? They're just putting it live at the moment. They were doing this when I came on the call earlier. So I would give it a couple of hours unless mine's cached and those forms will be there. I thought they were going to be live before I came on, but it may be that they're a little bit behind. I can give you the URLs directly, actually. So I will do that now regardless. Let me give you the URL. So if anybody wants this in the chat right now, here is the URL for the onboarding form. And here is the URL for the proposal form. They will be on the menu shortly. And we'll email those links out to everybody as well. So don't worry about if you haven't got those right here and now. But if you want to take a note to them, that's fine. Now, I just want to touch on a question that we've been asked in the chat, but something we need to talk about anyway, which is, what if they're not running paid traffic? My standard answer to that will be, if they're not running paid traffic, most local businesses will not have enough traffic to run a retargeting campaign effectively if they've not got some kind of paid traffic coming into them. If they've got an amazing SEO campaign or something that is knocking it out of the park and they've got a busy website, take a look at their analytics, see how much traffic's going through the website, see if it's going to work for them. But in general, it's much harder to run without Facebook, without paid traffic of some sort bringing leads in. So that would be my suggestion, is that focus on people who are already spending on generating traffic. It's much easier to justify ROI. If somebody's already got inbound traffic coming, it's much easier to justify this as an optimization of that spend rather than an additional cost for something they're not already doing. Does that make sense? I'm not saying you can't. If it's a national or a bigger company, they've got plenty of traffic, absolutely 100% go for it. But if it's, an organization, just a local lawyer, or it's a local chiropractor, they've probably not got enough traffic coming to their website to make this even slightly effective for them. So, that said, that's what I've got to tell you today, guys. I hope that's useful. There's two things I hope you can take out of that. One is, if you're not selling Facebook retargeting to your clients, you're missing an opportunity, and their campaigns could be better than they are today. So just at a very basic level, there is an opportunity out there for you today to go and get your clients better results and from you to profit from the process. Second thing I hope you got from today is we can help you do that if you want us to. If you don't, that's equally cool. Consider this education and go and enjoy it and do it yourself. But either way, don't miss out on the opportunity, because we're reaching the belief very quickly now that it's becoming increasingly essential that we add this service on. We live in a world where people are very busy and very distracted. We need every opportunity to re-engage with people, to get them to become customers of our clients. And this is one of the best ways to achieve that. So that said, if you've got questions, fire them in the chat. I'm going to dive in there now. We've got 9 minutes left. I want to make sure that we get away on top of the hour. Keep respect to everybody's time, as we always promise to do. But I'm going to go back. I think there's quite a few in there already. So I'm going to dive in while people come through. So let's have a look. It's a great chat box tonight, by the way, guys. Loads going on, so thank you for that. Larry's been asking some rather technical questions about providing email addresses for customer audiences and those kind of things, which customer audiences and email addresses are not needed for retargeting. They are needed for regular, or they're rather useful for regular cold Facebook campaigns. And I'm just going to touch on that now, because I can see this question has been asked several times in the chat, which is, are InvisiblePPC offering full Facebook services? The answer to that is kinda. Today, I'm not going to publicly say we will take on everybody who wants to run a Facebook campaign. We're relatively selective, but we are taking on Facebook campaigns. So if you've got a campaign in one of the obvious markets that we've already mentioned, or you've got a prospect or hit our chat on our website, ask us some questions, and if we possibly can help you, then we will. Very shortly, we will be offering it as a standalone service with a nice price list and all the things that we need to make it really easy for you. We aren't there yet, but we will talk to you. And if it's a good fit for you and for us and your client, then we will do it. But just while we roll this out, we kind of want to make sure we get it right and we scale it the right way. We're already running Facebook campaigns for people. So don't misunderstand. We're already running cold and retargeting Facebook for people. We just want to make sure that as we roll it out, we do it the right way for the right campaigns, for the right agency partners. And then when we're absolutely 100% happy and we're not far away from that point, then we'll potentially have a session like this and we'll explain everything. And we'll put put a nice ribbon on it, sprinkle it with some glitter, and it will look great. But not just yet. But talk to us, hit our chat, ask us questions. We'll do our best to help. Let's have a look. Somebody asked where ad comments come in, whether they come in Messenger or they come in the comments. And Jordan's already answered that in chat, but I'll articulate for everybody else. If you're talking to a client and they ask that question, ad comments can be monitored through Business Manager, and there'll be a notification like on a personal profile. So if you're logged in or your client's logged in, they'll be able to handle that. A really technical question. Andy asks, and I love the fact this question's been asked, what is high resolution as far as image is concerned? I.e., what's an ideal format size to present an image in for it to make a really good Facebook ad? The Facebook recommendation, if you want to write this down, or I'll put it in the chat, is 1,200 by 628 pixels. If you're interested in that, there you go. Do we need to have PPC with the client before we sell Facebook retargeting? I've already answered that. So somebody says, will IPPC run Facebook retargeting even if we're not managing the AdWords campaigns? Yes, we will. Yes, we will. We're not saying we don't want to do that. We'll do that with you. If you've got in-house that handle and you just want to add this on, of course, that's something we can do for you. That's not a problem at all. I can't believe 55 minutes in and I've not mentioned one word which is really important. Jordan, feel free to beat me over the head with a stick for forgetting this.
Instagram.
Instagram. Thank you. Facebook and Instagram ads can run on both platforms. When we're talking Facebook, we will also be running the ads on Instagram. So unless we're specifically told not to, they will also be on Instagram. Or if it's actually appropriate, they will only be on Instagram, but they'll be where they're most effective. Just says, are we responsible for ad creation? No, you're not responsible for ad creation, Justin. We'll take care of actually building the ad and the ad copy and all those kind of things. Our comment in terms of responsibilities is it's much better if we've got original photography or video from the client, and the best people to get that are you or the client. If you can send us a bunch of photos or some videos, then we can produce better ads from that. We can put overlays on. We can add the copy into it. We can crop, change, edit. We can do those things, but we need a source to work with. If not, we use a stock video or stock image, and that's fine. It's just less personal. It's less relevant to your client. The results will not be as good. Charles asks a great question. What do you think about the strategy that some individuals teach to go to web pages of businesses and sell the business on the fact they haven't got the Facebook pixel installed? If the business isn't running Facebook ads, why would the pixel need the pixel installed? Will it still collect data? So Jordan, tell me if I'm wrong. Yes, it will still collect data.
Yes. So some people will just keep a pixel on there just to collect data in the back time if they're going to use it for like remarketing purposes for the holidays or things like that. Yeah, so it can be running at all times. Sometimes people have multiple pixels on there because they don't clean it up. So it won't hurt anything if it's on there. It's just extra data. And if anything, you're more ready to be on Facebook if it's there.
Yeah, and if people have got pixels installed and aren't running ads, great opportunity to sell them ads. If they haven't got the pixel installed and you know they're running Google ads, hello, great opportunity to go and sell them. So, Charles, to answer your comment about that strategy, I think you can run 2 or 3 variations of that strategy from people with the pixel but not running ads, from people without the pixel but running Google ads. There's many ways you can cut that same strategy to approach people and go, hey, you should have this, you haven't. Let us help you to achieve it. Lots of ways you can do that. Ryan says that we're saying we're managing retargeting for Facebook for $100 a month, but normal campaigns will be separate. Yes, that's correct, Ryan. We haven't released public Facebook pricing yet. If we're running Facebook as part of running retargeting as part of a bigger campaign for you, then there'll just be one price for the whole thing. So, just a quick reminder, if you want to take advantage of our offer, it is simply this, which is onboard a client by November the 15th if they've got a Google campaign with us already, or you bring a Google campaign with them, then we'll take half off the onboarding fee to get it easier, make it easier for you. We'll follow all that up in an email. Guys, I hope today's been valuable. I hope what anybody does today is go and sell some Facebook ads, fulfill it, or some Facebook retargeting to people. They'll get good outcomes from it. Use us if you want. If you don't want to use us, don't use us, but still go and do it and make some money, make the clients happy. I'm very conscious we're at a minute to the top of the hour and I want to get everybody off here on time. So if there's anything that we've not answered in the chat as we've gone through, as always, we'll take a copy of the chat log after this session. We'll go through it and follow up individually. But in the meantime, if you've got questions, comments, I'd love to know what you think of the session today. Put it in the chat, whatever you think, good or bad. Love to hear from you. We will get a replay out in the next 48 hours. And go and enjoy it and use it, guys. Have a great rest of the day. And look forward to talking to you and helping you get some Facebook campaigns running. So, Jordan, thank you so much for being part of your first webinar at InvisiblePPC. And thank you for all the help.
Oh, yeah, some great questions in here. I am intrigued. Definitely, whoever has any dog ones, you better contact me. Give me some dog photos.
Yeah, I think InvisiblePPC is the dog capital of internet marketing. It's almost a requirement to join the company that you have one dog. Although we have got somebody with a bearded dragon and we just about let them in. So guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great time. Appreciate you being here. Have fun and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.